courtesy of Jay Swavey.
From fans for the fans.
The best place for league updates.
The hottest takes on the internet. Welcome to Cal's Call.
Welcome to episode 8 of Cal's Call. I'm Joseph Callamore.
I'm Mickey Flynn.
And thank you guys for joining in. So today's main topic, we're moving on more to the NFL. We want to gear towards all of our NFL fans out there. The season's coming up. Preseason's in action right now. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. A couple things first. The first thing we want to talk about is the Derrius Guice ACL injury. So we know this is going to be affecting a lot of things, not only in the Washington Redskins franchise, but also there's a big fantasy impact in it. He was being drafted pretty high. Obviously, that doesn't compare to the real life scenario, but it's still semi-relevant. There's a lot of money on the line this year in fantasy, especially with sports betting being legal now. So first, let's talk about how it affects the Redskins. Mickey, what do you think this does to the running back stable there? How do you think this affects their record, outcome, everything?
Well, I think now they have to rely on, I think it's Samaje Perine. I don't know how to say his last name. Mm-hmm. He was drafted, I think, 7th round last year, but he did really well. Mm-hmm. So I guess he's going to get most of the carries. And, obviously it's a big step back from what they were expecting, but I think they'll be fine with it, to be honest with you. Okay.
I'm hearing that, I really like Perine. And ex-general manager Scott McLaughlin, he really liked Samaje Perine as well. Which to me said a lot because I really respect his McLaughlin's opinion. So the fact that he was very high on Perine really said a lot to me. But I hear that what I've heard and what I've read all throughout the sports landscape, it sounds like the coaching staff there currently is not too high on him. They more prefer Rob Kelly, who's more.
That's another one.
Yeah, Rob Kelly's big back. Very good at goal line, but he's not my favorite. I don't think he's an every down back for you guys. Obviously, he's not. They know his role already going into it. I like Chris Thompson a lot. Now he's more. His strength lies in receiving. Mm-hmm. So obviously, when he comes back to full health, and he is not fully healthy yet, so that's a big if. If he comes back fully healthy, I think he's a great option for them. He's not going to bring the level of talent that Guice does, but he's still a semi-decent running back for their offense. I think this really does hurt them, though. I really like the 1-2 punch that was going to be Guice and Thompson was very intriguing to me. It obviously wasn't the best in the league, but it was, intriguing. The fact that they have a great receiver coming out of the backfield in Thompson, as well as a great power back in Guice, that's a good combination to have. Now Guice is out for the year. Very unfortunate. He was one of the handful of rookie running backs that were looking to make a big impact in their first year. So very unfortunate to see this happen. But there's just a lot of implications other than his career because I think he'll come back even stronger. If anything, I didn't think he was going to have that big of a year. I think he was just going to have a decent year. I think this helps him gain some strength. He's going to focus this next year on training, getting into shape, getting into game readiness, and now he's going to have a whole year experience of being in the film room and watching NFL film with NFL head coaches or coaches in general. That's going to really help him out. So I think he's going to have a great rookie year next year whenever he does eventually play. But besides that point, this is going to hurt the Redskins offense. I don't think this team went from having an average to good offense to it's just going to be mediocre at best. I don't see it really doing much. Their best option by far for me is going to be the Alex Smith to Jordan Reed connection. I'm very excited to see that. But other than that, there's not many parts of their offense that's very exciting. Mm-hmm. To see how Doxson does, the guy out of TCU, the wide receiver. I like him, but he hasn't done much in his career up until this point. The same goes for, I want to see how Jameson Crowder's still there, right? I want to see how Jameson Crowder does now that most of the receiving core is gone from the past couple of years, and he's one of the main guys. So I want to see how they do, and again, I'm very excited to see Reed. And I was excited to see Guice, but now he's gone. So we'll see what happens there. And in terms of fantasy impact, I know he was being drafted pretty high. I think his ADP was like 39 or 40. It was one of those two. It was in that area, late 30s, early 40s, which was very high for a rookie running back. And now that obviously he's out for the year, there's no reason to draft him whatsoever. That's zero production being brought to your team. There's not even a hope that he's going to play later, so there's no point. So that is the fantasy implication of it. I hope you guys didn't draft him. Shout out to Ethan for drafting him. Thank you, because I definitely would have for some depth. But yeah, I know you got to give it up to him. The guy took him. He bit the bullet. Now everybody else gets to kind of reap the rewards of you wasted a 4th-round pick on a guy who's now out for the year.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, unfortunate to hear about this incident, and looking forward to a better rookie season next year out of him. All right, moving on to the next topic. My man Andrew Luck. He's been throwing footballs around. He had a great first game in preseason. Didn't throw a touchdown, but led 2 scoring drives. What do you think about that, Mickey? What do you think about him?
I mean, everyone's hyping him up. I mean,
Yeah?
how could you not? He's really good.
He's really good.
Again, I just don't think he's going to do that great with that offensive line issue that they has there. I do like his targets, though, even though Deion Kane went down. But, we'll see. I also think Marlon Mack's going to have a pretty good year.
Yeah, I think that looking at their running back stable, obviously the talent isn't the best in the league, but they have options. I've heard that they haven't been too impressed with Nyheim Hines out of NC State. Go Pack. But even with that, they still have a lot of depth there. They have Hines, Mack. Who else is going to be there? I'm trying to think of the guy who was suspended.
Oh.
No. Out of the running backs. I'm trying to think who it was. Either way, man, it'll come to me later in the podcast. But they have options when it comes to their running backs. They have a lot of different aspects to it. Again, Mack is more of a power back. You're looking at Hines. He's just anything you want him to be. Kind of like how, and he's one of those guys that I can see him having a Tyreek Hill kind of year. You can use him wherever in the offense, and he's gonna be good, if not great. So I'm very excited to see how Hines does. But that Colts offense, I think, does have some potential. Obviously, I was very disappointed to see Deion Kane go down. From all accounts, he was the second best receiver on all of their offseason workouts, and he was an undrafted rookie, so very impressive. But now he's out for the year, torn ACL. T.Y. Hilton is a great wide receiver 1. I think he's a little inconsistent, obviously, depending on the quarterback, but he has some great chemistry with Luck. And I'm very hyped to see Luck play. I mean, this is a guy who legitimately was the prototypical quarterback. When he came into the league, every single team wanted him. There wasn't a team that wouldn't want Andrew Luck. If you're trying to think of a better quarterback prospect than Andrew Luck, you can't. He was the best quarterback prospect to ever come into the NFL, hands down. He is just everything you could ever want. Yes, did he have some trouble with interceptions early on in his career? Is that still a question mark? Yes. But I think he's going to overcome that. He's a great, smart, young QB. I think he's going to have a great season. I think he's going to have a great bounce-back season, and I can't wait to see him play. Obviously, it was only for a couple quarters in a preseason game, and I don't want to overreact, but I don't think there is no overreacting here because he is still a proven talent. He was injured for a while, so it's nice to see him back. Somebody else who's been injured for a really long time who's coming back is Teddy Bridgewater.
Yes,
he's
great game. Yeah,
he did very well for the Jets. Obviously, they're probably looking at Darnold because he's the younger quarterback.
He had a good game
prospect. He had a great game as well. So they're looking at him to probably take over the starting position, but the value of Bridgewater is now severely increased to what it was just a couple months ago. And now we're looking at people who could really trade for him and teams that could use him. Mickey, I want to talk about a couple teams that could make a play for Bridgewater. Maybe use a late pick on him, and which again is for the Jets that's something. To sign a guy to a 1-year deal, not looking really for anything except trade bait, to get a pick out of it would be a great deal for them. So what are a couple teams that you could see make a play for Bridgewater? Buffalo, yeah. Like we talked about this before we started and went live. Buffalo is a team that could definitely make a play for him, depending on how they see A.J. McCarron, Nathan Peterman do, as well as the rookie Josh Allen. That's a rookie that I'm not that high on Josh Allen, but if they were to actually take the right approach to a rookie QB, which is to sit him for the year and let him learn in that film room, I think he can be an adequate quarterback in the NFL. But I don't think he's not going to be there for the next 2 years. Even if he starts next year, he's not going to be a great starter. So he's an option to bring in Bridgewater. I think he's a better QB than Peterman and McCarron. But again, I think they are still going to be wanting to see those options. Earlier you said the Chargers, and is that's to bring in an adequate backup?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And for a back, or because Rivers only has 3-4 years max. So I think you got to look at to bring in a backup who is proven that he can win games like Bridgewater. Obviously, Cardell Jones is not doing very good. I thought Geno Smith was okay, but again, I would not be too high on Geno Smith. If Rivers went down, I'd want to make a play for a Teddy Bridgewater type of guy.
Okay. If we think about other franchises that could use a quarterback, Not really sure. I know there obviously are still teams that could use one. I think if we're looking at teams that would be looking for a high-end quality backup, Houston would make a lot of sense.
Houston?
Deshaun Watson, obviously he's coming back from injury, so you don't want to rush him or push him too hard throughout the season. If he does get injured, great, you have Bridgewater. And if he struggles in a sophomore slump, that's okay. You have Bridgewater. So you have a veteran to go to. I think Houston would make a lot of sense. I think that if we're looking at teams that could use one, just a lot of teams could use quality quarterback depth. I think a team that could be underrated to get him, which I don't think they'll make a play, but it'd be interesting to see how he does, would be New England. They already lost Garoppolo, who was their developmental QB, but they came out of the same draft class. I think it'd be interesting to see Teddy Bridgewater go to New England and be Tom Brady's backup for the considerable future. And then, eventually, when he retires, maybe take over the reins. You don't know. I don't know how Belichick views Bridgewater, but I think he's a great QB prospect. He just had a tremendous injury that was hard to overcome. But despite all the odds, he has overcome it, and that shows a lot about his character and his resolve. So those are a couple teams I'm thinking of. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other teams who could make a play
Giants.
for him. The Giants definitely could. That'd be an interesting scenario. Obviously, they're both New York-based teams. You'd wonder if the Jets would even make that deal. But that'd be a great option,
I think
actually.
you have to make it, actually.
Yeah, because the thing is, Eli needs a better backup,
don't know
and
who the
Eli
backup
himself is too inconsistent. So, his backup is out of Cal.
Davis
Webb, who I actually like. I liked coming out of the draft that year. But I don't know if he's there yet. Like, even when he came out, everyone knew it was going to take him a couple more years of just getting used to the playbook. And I think that Davis Webb actually will be not a great quarterback, but he'll be a serviceable backup, especially with Pat Shurmur coming in as a head coach. Great offensive mind. I think he's going to do wonders for Davis Webb's development. But Teddy Bridgewater would be a great option because you never know how Eli Manning's going to do. I think he's going to have a great year because, like I said earlier, Pat Shurmur is a great offensive mind. I think that QB room is going to benefit tremendously from him being there compared to last year's head coach. Who was that? I forget his name. McAdoo.
Yeah,
Ben McAdoo. That guy was funny looking. Yeah. So compared to Ben McAdoo, I think it's going to be a very different scenario this year. Who else could use him?
New Orleans?
Well, New Orleans could. They got J.T. Barrett as their backup in the draft. I don't think he'll be that great of an NFL quarterback, but you never know how they feel about him.
What about Kansas City?
Kansas City, it depends how Mahomes does. If Mahomes starts off hot, I don't think they make a play for him. But if Mahomes does struggle out of the gate, maybe just to lighten a fire underneath them, they bring in Bridgewater. Obviously, the hope would never be for Mahomes to unseat. For Bridgewater to unseat Mahomes. But.
Tampa Bay or Cincinnati? I think Jameis Winston sucks.
Yeah, but like we had this conversation before we went live. I drafted Mike Evans in our fantasy league, and I was a little concerned for a couple days because they had no quarterback. Obviously, Jameis is suspended, but I forgot. They have Ryan Fitzpatrick, guys. Let's not forget about Fitz Magic. This guy led a Jets team. He didn't lead them to the playoffs, but he led them to a very great record the other 2016. He's a great QB. I don't think he is a great backup quarterback. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think there's a need for him in Tampa Bay. Now, Cincinnati's a good option. They lost McCarron this offseason, so they don't have the backup they usually had. Dalton's known to have the occasional injury bug, so maybe bringing in a Bridgewater is a good play there. You never know. It seems like every single year we're talking about how Marvin Lewis is going to be moving on, then Andy Dalton's going to be moved on because he's not a franchise quarterback. I'm actually I'm a pretty big Dalton fan, but he's not elite by any means. So maybe bringing in Bridgewater would shore up that QB stable.
You really don't think Tampa needs him?
No, they have Fitzpatrick. Another team we're looking at now, I think the Jaguars, that'd be interesting. Imagine Bridgewater with Bortles, the two Bs.
I think he beats out Bortles.
I don't think he'd beat out Bortles.
Well, no, but
I'm not too low on Bortles, but it'd be good depth. I mean, if Bortles is, let's say you're playing the Pats, right, and Bortles is struggling with interceptions, throw in Bridgewater. You never see what happens. I think with that offense, Bridgewater could do. The Jacksonville offense is one of the offenses I think Bridgewater could do amazing things if he was a QB. But you never know. Another team who could use him. That's it. That's about it. I mean, he could be a good backup for the Raiders. That'd be pretty interesting to see him there. Yeah. Let's see. On to the next topic. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, preseason week 1's over. And with that, we're going to talk about rookie QBs, how they did, what we're hearing, and then it's just basically a summary of them. So, Who do you want to start with?
You want to do Josh Allen?
We can start with Josh Allen. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So Josh Allen, I don't know if you guys watched it, but his first play in the NFL, he got chased. Do you see that play where he got chased down by the defensive end? He was getting thrown into the back. I think he went like 20 yards back. He was just scrambling for his life. It was actually really funny. But other than that, it was an okay outing. He threw a TD. That's good. That's good for his development. Build his confidence up. But obviously, this guy is not playing this much this season. If the Bills are smart at all, this is not the type of QB prospect you want to rush in. Now, somebody who we're going to talk about later, Mayfield, that is someone you might want to rush in. But Josh Allen's not. He's just not ready yet. That's not a fault of his. He's just a rookie, but he's not ready. But he did show signs of everyone's known this. He has a great arm, very strong arm. That's not the question. The question is his accuracy and his ability to orchestrate an NFL offense. So with that in mind, those are still question marks about it. But the things that we know his strengths were, he capitalized on, which was his arm strength. He had some great throws, deep throws. But again, his accuracy is still working on. But it was a good outing for him. It's nice to see him go out there and throw a touchdown, build some confidence up, just learn how the NFL works. But what did you think about it?
Allen, again, yeah, I think you just summed it up perfectly, to be honest with you.
Okay. Honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest, I was pretty impressed. Not in a way that he should be starting now, but I thought he was at least going to throw an interception or two. And he didn't. He didn't throw multiple. I don't even know if he threw one. So I forget. So with that, I was pretty impressed because from what some scouts said about him, he seemed like coming into it, he was just going to be a total an interception nightmare, just a bunch of INTs. But for the most part, he stayed safe during his game. That's about it. Let's move on because there's no really point in talking about a QB that's not going to play at all this year. Sam Darnold, we talked about this earlier.
Did very well.
He had a great outing. Now, he's not my personal favorite of the QBs.
To me.
And I don't think he's going to still have that great of a career.
He was facing what, third stringers?
He was playing backups, but even still, he showed great. The biggest thing I've heard coming out of Jets training camp is that even who is the veteran in front of him right now? I forget his name.
McCown. Josh.
Yeah, Josh. Yeah, McCown. McCown has said that Darnold's poise as a rookie is unbelievable. That his ability to lead that group is pretty crazy. That ability there. So it's pretty impressive to see a rookie come in and immediately be able to lead an offense and get respect from veterans like that. But he's done that. So very impressive on his end. He also led a scoring drive. So there's a lot of parts to his game that I like. But again, I don't think he's going to be that elite of a quarterback in the NFL. I still think he's going to face a lot of turnover issues. If anything, I see a career like Ben Roethlisberger's without the rings. I think he can have a couple really. I could see a couple elite seasons, like maybe 2 or 3, but for the most part, just a good, great, if not overwhelming to a degree, underwhelming to a degree quarterback. But still, not too down on him. Great outing. Got to give that guy some respect. Let's move on. Josh Rosen. I know he's your personal favorite out of this bunch.
Well, did you watch the game?
I saw highlights of his throws.
Right.
I watched all his throws.
No, his throws were good, but the problem was his center. I don't think he gave him one good snap. Every time that he'd snap the ball, it'd be down at his feet, and he had to pick it up and grab it. There was one play in particular where he was getting chased down by, I think it was like 3 Chargers, and he escaped all of them and threw a dime to, I think it was Christian Kirk or something like that, who caught it. It was pretty nice. I think that he is still going to be the best in this class, but you got to give him an O-line. You got to give any quarterback an O-line.
True, and I think what hurts him is that their starting center, who was A.Q. Shipley, he got hurt a couple weeks ago, and so that was a storyline going into preseason for the Cardinals, and obviously it did play an effect in their preseason game. So that's going to be a struggle for him. I still do think they have some great pieces on there. Who did they bring from New York this past?
Oh my God,
Justin Pugh.
Yeah.
Pugh, right? Or I don't know.
I don't know
exactly how to pronounce his name. And I love the guard that they already had on the roster, who they brought over.
Iupati.
Mike Iupati. Both those guys are great guards. So they have some good interior line in terms of a veteran presence. The linemen in terms of a veteran presence. So I'm not too worried there. They need to pick it up at the tackles positions. They definitely need Shipley to get to heal as fast as possible.
What happened?
Let me see the exact injury. I forget the exact injury. But he was injured a couple weeks ago back in training
I thought
camp.
it was torn.
Torn?
Like a torn ACL or something like that.
I don't think it was a torn ACL. But let me see right here. Just confirm that. Let's see. Oh yeah. No, you're right. It was a torn ACL. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out for the season. Well, he's not coming back. Well, that might not look great for the Cardinals' outlook this season, but they weren't looking to compete really. This is more of a retooling year, seeing what they have in terms of young talent, weeding out the older talent. I think this is Fitzgerald's last year. So after this year, full-on rebuild. This year, a retooling year. But at least they have Josh Rosen, who's the quarterback for the future there. I agree with you. I think he had a very solid outing, but he does need better line protection, which will happen when the season actually starts. So he's out of the way. And again, he has great potential. I think he's one of those guys that has elite potential from this and could have multiple seasons. They compared him to Aaron Rodgers coming out, not necessarily talent-wise. No. Not like talent-wise, but just in terms of attitude and awareness and IQ, he was compared to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if he has the exact talent or arm strength that Aaron Rodgers possesses, but there are some similarities there. Now, my personal favorite we're going to move on to, and then we'll talk about this last guy last. No, you know what? Let's save this guy for last. Save the best for last. Lamar Jackson, yeah. What do you think about him?
To me, he's more of a runner than a thrower.
Uh-huh.
If that makes any sense. He's more dangerous on his legs. But with that said, I think he played pretty decent.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't bad.
But I still, if I'm the Ravens, I think RG3 is more the talk to me because I think he's better than Lamar Jackson right now.
Okay, well,
my personal favorite.
Okay,
but I mean, if I was him, I would have made the switch to receiver. I think that's his best chance of being very good in this league.
A long NFL career.
Yes, a long, very good NFL career. Because he is. Who was mobile that never really panned out? I don't think he's gonna be good. Let's just say that. Highest ceiling is a Cam Newton with no Super Bowl appearance. I guess you could say. I don't think he's gonna be very good. What do you think of him?
I still think there's a lot of potential there. I think if you look at it, he's gonna go the next 4 or 5 seasons playing quarterback. If they go well, he will stay at quarterback, and he'll be a serviceable backup, if not a quality
fringe starter.
Yeah, fringe starter, quality starter, but not elite. And in 4 to 5 years, if it does not go good at quarterback, he is almost forced to make the move to receiver.
Like Terrell Pryor.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He has the same, but he's a better quarterback than Terrell Pryor was, but it's going to be the same career trajectory if he does not fix his, not mechanics, but if he doesn't get more accurate, Terrell Pryor 2.0. And it's not because of his talent level. He has more talent. He's a better quarterback than Terrell Pryor ever was. But if he doesn't fix his issues in the next couple of years with training, which I think he definitely can, he will have to switch to wide receiver. And if he refuses to, then his NFL career is over. And that's just it. It is what it is.
Like a Tebow.
Exactly. But I think he's going to get better. I agree to a T with the statement that I think going into it, this is, and it's not just because I like him. Everything that I've seen, Joe Flacco is going to have a great year. He's trained very hard. He sees that there's competition in the QB room, and he's not losing that starting spot to a rookie or RG3, who's a reclamation project. Mm-hmm. So I think Flacco is obviously going into Flacco's a starter. RG3 is a veteran backup, and Lamar Jackson is a guy you sparingly use when you need sub packages that are very interesting that defenses aren't going to be able to read well. That's Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
For the most part, though, he's not going to be used that much his first year as a quarterback. This is more of a developmental year, more like, hey, rookie, sit, watch, see how we do things, see how to run an offense, work on your accuracy. By the time next year rolls around, we're probably going to be looking for a new quarterback. Joe Flacco is going to either decline or just be moving on in general. That's when it's your shot. So this is not the year of Lamar Jackson like some of his biggest fans believe it is. It's not. He's not ready yet. He's not a finished product. But I do think he still has all the potential in the world to fix that accuracy and be a great quarterback. I see him. The obvious comparison is Michael Vick. I think it's a little bit lazy. He's not the same. I think Michael Vick had a better passing game in general. He's more accurate, more poised. I think that one thing with Jackson is not that he's going to struggle. He's going to obviously struggle against like passing in the air in the NFL because he's not as accurate as the other rookie QBs or just other quarterbacks in general. But also, he never faced the defensive line talent in college that he's going to face now. And even though he's fast, you got to realize NFL D-lines are just as fast. That's why they get paid hundreds of millions of dollars to be just as fast as a quarterback and to catch the quarterback. So I think that's where he's going to struggle, is facing that NFL pass rush. But we'll see. It's going to take him a little bit. I think that he has that same running game potential as Michael Vick. Not as good of a passing game. He's going to be a quality starter if he gets there. If not, he's an okay backup, but he should be moving to receiver. So there's a lot of different options and ways that his career can go. And last but not least, because he is, I am sticking with this prediction. I'll say it now instead of saying it at the end, just so I can get my hot take out of the way. Baker Mayfield, I'm telling you, is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He is a Hall of Fame quarterback. And he is. It's just what it is. This guy, I'm so excited to see him play. This is going to be one of those stories where in 25 years we see a documentary made about this guy, and he had to start off on the bench. Even though he was a walk-on twice in college and won the Heisman, he has to start off his NFL career, even though he's a number one pick, on the bench to Tyrod Taylor, who is not a bad quarterback, by the way. But he's not as good as what Baker can be, but he's not bad. Starts off the bench, ends up winning the QB job, eventually gets the worst franchise in the NFL back to the playoffs and leads them to an actual decent run in the next decade. Baker Mayfield is legit. He is 100% the real deal. If anybody doubted him, I feel sorry for you guys, because this guy does not have not only potential, he has production now. We talk about Darnold, and we're talking about what he can be. We talk about Rosen, we talk about what he can be. We talk about Lamar Jackson, we talk about what he can be. We talk about Josh Allen, we talk about what he can be. Why did I say DeRozan? I guess I said DeRozan earlier. Baker Mayfield is what he is now. Is he going to get better with time? Yes. But he's already a good quarterback. This is a guy who would go into a QB room like Buffalo, just without even question, be the undeniable starter. He could be that in a lot of places. He could be, if he was in Jacksonville, they would be the Super Bowl favorites right now.
He's one game.
I don't care if it's one game. He showed the accuracy that needs to be seen. Like, the thing was, I was watching that whole game. His game was his missed throws, yes. Were a couple on him, yes. But he showed poise that's not there usually for a rookie quarterback. And that's something why I also respected Darnold's first game a lot, is because he showed poise that's not usually there. So it was very, very, very interesting to see Baker Mayfield in that game. I saw a couple of those throws where it was more the receivers and him just not being in the right spot. But he is the quarterback. He's the one who's going to get the blame almost all the time. So with that, though, still had a great outing. He got his first NFL touchdown to David Njoku, who had 2 touchdowns, by the way. Still not too high on him for this season. I haven't been hearing great things, but at least he probably built his confidence up by catching those 2 TDs. But I know you're not the biggest fan of him, so what did you think about Baker Mayfield?
He played great, but again, it's against backups. And not to mention, it's one goddamn game. There's no need to call him Hall of Fame right now.
No, I'm calling it. I'm definitely calling it. I have to call it now, because if I don't call it now, somebody else will before me, and I'm not going to let that fly. Baker Mayfield is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Sorry. If you hate it, sorry about that. But definitely Hall of Fame. This guy is the real deal. So, moving on from rookie quarterbacks, next topic we're going to talk about today is the fantasy impact, implications of week 1, where it could drop people in, where it could drop some certain players off in fantasy, who's looking good, who you could maybe pick up as a potential sleeper, all that good stuff. So obviously we talked about guys, that injury was a big blow to fantasy owners. If you already drafted him, or if you were looking to draft him, he's now off the table. Some guy who wasn't getting, obviously he was more than likely not getting drafted, but if you're a Colts fan, or if you've been reading a lot of the rumor mill, maybe you did draft him, is Deion Kane, tore his ACL out for the season. He was a guy who was looking to be one of the top 3 or 4 receivers in the Colts rotation. Now he's out. I was very disappointed to see him. Marlon Mack, he's a guy I picked up, running back for the Colts. He hurt his hamstring. Now he's still projected to be the week 1 starter. He should be healthy by week 1. No question there. Oh, and Robert Turbin is the guy I was thinking of earlier, who was suspended for the first 4 games for PEDs. But anyway, Max should be healthy by week 1, so not an issue there. I think there's a heavy workload to be had in the Indianapolis offense, which is why I liked him and picked him up later in the, I think it was like the 9th or 10th round. So he was a good value for me there. Who else is hurt? Right now, Antonio Brown was dealing with some issues. I think it was his hamstring.
He'll be fine though.
But he'll be fine. He's already back in practice dominating. Who was the guy for Seattle, the number 1 wide receiver? Baldwin.
Yes,
He was dealing with some injuries, but he should be ready for week 1. Not an issue there. I'm not the biggest Baldwin fan, and he has he's been semi-injury prone his career. So again, I'd watch out for that situation if you own him or if you're looking to draft him. But not an issue in terms of the injury related to him now. But always an injury risk throughout the season. Some of their injuries you're going to be looking at is who's somebody else? There's somebody else who got injured. Who was it? I'm trying to think who it was.
Was it skill player?
Don't know. I really don't. But man, somebody went down. But also, just if you're looking at injuries in general, I know we were talking about Shipley. Shipley got injured for the Cardinals. A couple linemen got injured. I know right now, Arden Key for the Raiders, he had some ankle issues, but he should be fine.
Defensive end.
Yeah, defensive end, the rookie coming out of LSU. Who else is there? Oh, well, that's the only thing I can think of when it comes at the top of my mind. That's the only thing I can think of in terms of injuries. Some fantasy updates in terms of just rumors and value and how they did in preseason, though. Somebody who I drafted, who honestly I think is, despite conflicting reports about a week ago saying he's not very good at pass protection, which is still true. But Ronald Jones out of Tampa Bay, I drafted this guy probably too high. I think it was around 8, and I will admit that was not a good pick for me. I should have waited. But I drafted him fairly high, thinking, okay, Tampa Bay doesn't really have that great of a running back stable right now. He's probably the most talented one there, even though he's a rookie. But the biggest thing is that head coach Dirk Cutter, he was saying that he still needs to work on his pass protection, which is completely okay, or his blocking, which is completely okay. Most rookie running backs struggle with that out of the gate. I'm not too worried about that. But new report came out after his first preseason game. It wasn't pretty, by the way. He only had like 9 yards on 8 touches, which is not good. But he did have a touchdown, and it was a great touchdown. If you saw the move, eluded some defenders into the end zone. I thought that showed some great potential, goal line potential for fantasy this year. And after the game, he was actually complimented by his head coach for getting better at that blocking. So I think by the time the midseason rolls around, he's going to be one of the better rookies in the league this year. There's the opportunity to shine this year in Tampa Bay for him, and I think he's going to take advantage. I'm a little worried that he's not going to produce early on, like for the first 3 or 4 weeks. But if anybody has that Kareem Hunt-like potential to just break out, obviously not on the same level as Hunt, but to a pretty big degree, I think it's going to be Ronald Jones or Kerryon Johnson out of Detroit. It's either one of those two. Those are the two I have popping up as the first-year backs that can have an impact like that. But without a doubt, that's somebody to look at. Somebody else who had a good preseason week 1. Who else do you have that's doing good?
Preseason week 1.
Yeah,
this guy in the Chargers, his name is Jeremy Davis. I don't know if you saw that catch that he made.
Yeah, I did.
That was impressive. Mm-hmm. That was very impressive. And I know he's in the battle to make the 53-man roster because I was at the Chargers training camp. But he impressed me a lot. His competition is a guy who went to Clemson. His name is Artavis Scott, who also has done pretty well. So I think that should be interesting to see. Mm-hmm. Who else did pretty well? That's all I can really think of.
Sorry. Totally forgot to mention this. So the official news hasn't come out yet, but Jerick McKinnon of the Niners, I know he got an MRI last night. I don't know what they concluded out of those MRIs, but I know it was some leg injury that he had to go get an MRI for. So fantasy owners, watch out for that because he's getting drafted fairly high this year. I forget his exact ADP, but it is fairly high. So if you are a little wary of injuries, watch out for him. Somebody who had an okay. You mentioned him earlier before we started the podcast. Marshawn Lynch. You thought he had a good preseason.
He had a
game
nice
one.
run.
He had one nice run. Again,
Didn't even count though.
I'm not high on him going into this season. I think he's too old. He's not too old, but he's not the same back. And the Lakers, why did I say the Lakers? I'm all over the place today. Maybe it's because all the Raiders fans are Lakers fans and all the Lakers fans are Raiders fans. But the Raiders don't have the greatest O-line. It used to be top 5. Now it's not. They're shaky.
They're all old.
They are older, and their first round pick, I do not like. Colton Miller was not my favorite pick of the draft. But anyway, so I don't think Lynch is going to have that great of a season. Somebody else I'm excited for, though, is the rookie tight end out of South Dakota State. Yeah, yes. South Dakota State. Dallas Goedert, the Philadelphia Eagles. He did good. He had a touchdown and 66 yards. Very impressed by that. That's somebody who could be a good, sleeper if Ertz gets injured, which he has in the past. Definitely Goedert is an option for the Philadelphia Eagles offense. It's really all I can do. A lot of people had great week ones. This is somebody I was going to think of. I'm trying to think of the Rams backup running back. And in their preseason game, he showed some great flashes.
Oh my God! Is his number in the 40s?
I totally forget the name. I'm gonna look it up right now. Man, I don't know why I didn't write this down earlier. But he showed some great flashes this preseason. Justin Davis. Was it Justin Davis or was it John Kelly?
Oh God.
I'm not sure. Either one of those two. I think it was Kelly. I think it was John Kelly.
Is that guy right there, right? 42?
Yeah. I mean, they both did well. Honestly, what's kind of was interesting to me is that they already have the bet. Obviously, Gurley's the number 1 running back, number 1 player in fantasy this year, in my opinion. But he has some good backups. Maybe there's sleepers. Injuries have played a role in his career thus far. So definitely watch out for that. Some other guys who can be definitely like a sleeper in terms of fantasy, but could end up producing is I just had him in my head. Coming out of Nyheim Hines. I mentioned him earlier out of Indianapolis. That guy, like I said, they're going to utilize him in a lot of different ways in their offense. And he's somebody who's not typically getting drafted. I looked to pick him up, but I haven't yet. I hadn't pulled the trigger. But that guy definitely has plenty of options. He's going to be utilized a lot in that offense. So if you want somebody who can score not only in the running game and the passing game, definitely pick up Hines. He's an option. As well as make sure if Chris Thompson's not already taken, pick him up because Geis is now out for the year and he's going to be the main featured back in Washington. Yeah. And then with that in mind, who are some players that either to this point in their career have disappointed or are just rookies and people aren't expecting much? I know we already talked about Johnson, Ronald Jones, Goedert, but who are some players that you could really see breaking out this year in the NFL?
There's a lot, but
okay.
Let me see. It's got me some quarterback. No, I mean Mike Williams of the Chargers.
Mike Williams of the Chargers is definitely someone I was going to mention.
He did pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a breakout year this year. Same with Mike Williams, the same draft class. We're going to be talking about have him on my team in fantasy. What is his name? Corey Davis.
There you go.
Number 5 pick last year. Number 5. Think about that. You don't take a wide receiver number 5 unless he has shown you the ability to be a true number 1 franchise wide receiver.
And he hasn't shown that yet.
He has not shown that, but Julio Jones also struggled to a point when he was rookie, and I think it's the same. That's the guy I compare him to. So I think Corey Davis is going to have a strong year, too. I drafted him because of that. This guy is Marcus Mariota's number 1 option outside of Delaney Walker, who's the more veteran presence. But I think Corey Davis is going to have an amazing year, amazing bounce-back sophomore year. So definitely keep your eyes out for him. One of the better young receivers in this league. I think somebody else who could have a great year is going to be Calvin Ridley in Atlanta. That offense, I've already hyped it up a lot coming out of training camp. I think it's going to be really good this year. So definitely watch out for Calvin Ridley as a good wide receiver number 2 or 3 to Sanu and Jones. Somebody else who could have a good year despite disappointing early in their career. Who else do you think?
I don't know if you could say this guy disappointed, but I think Carlos Hyde will do pretty decent in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think he'll do better than he did in San Francisco last year. Somebody else who I'm excited to look at this year is also Robert Nkemdiche
There you go, yeah.
out of Arizona, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Coming into his rookie campaign, there were a lot of question marks, just character-wise, off the field, not mainly on the field. On the field, he's very strong, very good interior lineman, very good presence. And he's shown to continue to be that. And he's worked on his potential, and he should have some pretty good production this year. I'm a big believer in his game. I think he's going to really help the run defense, especially after Calais Campbell left to Jacksonville last year. I think he's going to really step up and be that Campbell-like, what would you say, presence on the D-line for Arizona. Somebody else I'm looking forward to, not really a breakout because he's already broken out and shown what he can do, but at least because Luck is back, T.Y. Hilton's going to have a much better season this year. Definitely look out for him as being one of the better elite receivers in the league. Somebody else who I don't think is going to have that great a year, who broke out last year, is Kareem Hunt. I think he's going to
take a step back.
I think both Hunt and Kamara are going to take pretty big steps back. Also, I think Barkley's going to have an okay season, but not what people were expecting. So there are a lot more people that I think can disappoint than actually surprise. But you never know. It's a crapshoot when it comes to these predictions, because if you have somebody who's doing well, you try to keep it under wraps so other teams can't plan for them. And if you have someone doing bad, you try to keep it under wraps because you want their trade value to still be up before you trade them or whatever happens. So you typically don't hear a lot of things that are legit coming out of training camp, but there are a few. So those are my takes on that. With that, we're going to move on to basketball. I know it's pretty dead in the NBA landscape right now, which is sad because I know there's a ton of us NBA fans out there, and obviously football is the main sport dominating right now. But news, Adrian Wojnarowski out of ESPN reported it. Sorry, I'm so used to him being on Yahoo. But Carmelo Anthony finalizing a deal to go to Houston. We've known that. But here's the difference. He's okay with coming off the bench. Seems like that's going to be the role for him. He's off the bench in Houston. I think this is the right move. He does not fit defensively with the starting unit, even though Capella is a good rim protector. Does not fit well in that defensive in the starting lineup along James Harden. He's going to be a much better bench scorer for them. Again, I'm still iffy on the fit. I get chemistry-wise, he might do okay.
He already played with D'Antoni.
With Harden. But the thing is, he had conflicting views with D'Antonio last time.
He kicked him out of New York.
Yeah, so be interesting to see how that goes. But in the very least, at least he's willing to come off the bench this time, unlike in Oklahoma City. That's good for him. At least he's finally accepting some humility. But for the most part, that makes a difference, because now at least Houston's offense will have a potential sixth man of the year bench threat to go with Eric Gordon. If I'm looking at that lineup, that's a little scary. Not for the defense, but that's that backup. Like their backups, their bench. Who can compete with that bench in terms of scoring? If Eric Gordon, who's already a sixth man of the year, and Carmelo Anthony, it's pretty dangerous. Again, defensively, maybe not the greatest, but offensively, it's hard to compete with that second unit. And I think what's going to help them out is if the starting lineup doesn't do as good as they did last year, which I don't think they're going to do. Let's say they go into a break down by 12. That bench could easily make that 12 points up like that.
Yep.
So that's something to look forward to.
I think he prolonged his career by doing this, like Ginobili.
Yeah.
But I think he should have done this, last year, I would say, because New York, he was the main guy.
I'm interested to see. I know Dwayne Wade's saying he told media the other day that he's either going to Miami or he's retiring. So now at least we know where he's going to be if he does stay in the NBA. The question is if he retires or not. I don't think he should. I want to see at least one more year of the Flash. If anything, I want him to stay in the NBA, because the last thing I want to see in my lifetime is out of Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and Melo. Obviously, Bosh had no choice because of blood clots, and even he's trying to come back. But to voluntarily retire out of those four, I would hate for it to be Dwayne Wade. I'd wish it'd be Carmelo, because he's my least favorite of those four. But I'd hate to see Dwayne Wade retire. The NBA could still use another season of him. He's a very special player. He has a very special connection with Miami, unlike a lot of players in the history of the NBA. So it'd be nice to see him back. But yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about?
You want to talk about Tiger?
Yeah, that was the last subject. So Tiger Woods did okay.
Got second.
You got second. Yeah, but I mean,
he shot 64.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, he's Tiger. I'm expecting him to
But
he is obviously not the same as he was back in the 2000s. But still, the fact that viewership was up 69%, I think they said it was the highest ratings they've ever gotten in the Open, or since 2009, which was
that's good.
That's great for the sport of golf. It's exciting for the sport of golf because for a while they've had. Oh, and it is now official, by the way, that Carmelo is in Houston. He's officially signed a contract. So it's very exciting that So the ratings were boosted 69% this year. They're the highest they've ever been in 9 years since 2008 when Tiger was last on the top of his game. So very exciting for the sport of golf for Tiger to be back. He might not be the player that he used to be, but at least he's going to draw fans and their interest back to the game of golf. Golf is a very interesting sport. If you've ever played it,
It's impossible.
it's not impossible. It's
hard.
calming. It's very difficult, and it takes a lot of willpower and mental resolve to eventually conquer. So because of that, a lot of people love the sport. But it's not the most popular because it's not basketball.
It's not fast moving.
There's no scoring every 30 seconds, which obviously why I love basketball. But it's a very interesting game to watch. I love the mental aspect just as much as the physical aspect. And so I'm very excited that sport's finally getting more recognition. It's unfortunate that it takes one player to do that, like LeBron James with the NBA. Obviously, the NBA started following, but LeBron James built that, same as Michael Jordan. So it's a little bit of a struggle to see that just because Tiger's there, they're now getting this huge bump in viewership. But at least they're getting that viewership. Yeah. I think they still have some great players. And like if you look at it now,
it's probably
McIlroy. Who's the guy that who had a great year this past year? Spieth is one of them, but the guy who won. Who's the guy who won the? He's been on top of the world, man. He won like this past year. He won the Open. I'm trying to think who he is. But there's a lot of great players. I know who it is. Man, why can I not think of his name?
This dude?
Justin Thomas. No, Justin Thomas.
There you go.
Justin Thomas. There you go. Justin Thomas is a great golfer. The golf has a lot of great names in it right now and a lot of great talent. Bubba Watson's great as well.
I liked him in the NBA All-Star game just get swatted.
Yeah.
I forgot who swatted him, but it was funny. But to me, I think golf is better when Tiger is
it's
good.
more exciting.
Like, it's like, I know you hate the Lakers, but we got to admit, when the Lakers are good, the league thrives.
That's true.
And when Tiger is good, that, I guess you can call it, league thrives. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say, I think the Phil Mickelson versus Tiger Woods thing just got a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it did.
And I personally want Mickelson because I'm left-handed like him. But that's pretty much it.
It's an interesting point though. Just like you said, the Lakers. I don't think it necessarily has to be the Lakers per se, but as long as there's
Celtics.
Either one. As long as there's a dominant franchise who has a history behind it, dominating. Usually the league does better. It's the same thing with the Steelers in the NFL, the Patriots in the NFL, stuff like that. So when Tiger plays, when Tiger does well, it's better for the sport of golf, game of golf. I'm glad to see it happening. So that's, I guess, our last story of the day. But thank you guys for watching. And we will continue to cover the NFL preseason as it goes. Obviously, we're looking forward to the actual season because that's what counts. But preseason is fun to cover nonetheless because there's interesting storylines going in, and it can always change how the actual season plays out. So thank you guys for joining us. Again, I'm Joseph Callamore.
I'm Mickey Flynn.
And this is Cal's Call. And make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope. We have Spotify up now. So there's a lot of different things. Podbean. So follow us all over the place. It's always just look up Cal's Call. And thank you guys for joining and have a great day.
For all the latest and breaking news, podcasts, and live streams, make sure to check out Cal's Call on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Periscope.